Thank you for joining me for this special edition of CEO Prepper. Now, I don't leave it a secret what I do for a living, but I let you know every time I do a show exactly what I do for a living. So, in my position, I actually do get to meet people from all over the world. I have clients, from all over the planet. And last night, I had a client who came in from Hong Kong, and he, we talked about, you know, financial situations in the world in regards to the real estate mortgage industry, um, the economies of China compared to the U.S., and so on and so forth. And it was interesting that a subject came up that obviously led me to make this episode: prepping. So, but how it came up was rather interesting. We were talking about how fragile a lot of markets are. Talking, in essence, the 2008 real estate collapse and what caused it, and how long people could actually see, people that were really paying attention, how far out they could see it. That way, they weren't shocked when it actually collapsed in 2008. Uh, and so he was telling me that the CEO, or not CEO, I'm sorry, CFO, or Chief Financial Officer of a major investment bank, they were having lunch one day, and this CFO told him, that he's a prepper. And the reason he became a prepper is because the current, now what he told him is something that I've known, and anybody in the business world with any sense knows, that the current system that America is using is not sustainable, and it's it's going to come to an end. And he said it's not a question of if, it is a question of when. And all it needs is just one little significant event to send basically the markets into a free fall, and you know all of our debts be called back, this, that, and the other. Uh, so it's not a question of if, folks. It's a question of when. And this is coming from the chief financial officer of a major investment bank. I know which one it is. I'm not saying it because I don't want to blow his OPSEC, because I know he's a prepper. He told this client of mine what steps that he has taken, everything from um, buying property outside in the country, to having a actual self-sustaining property, their own water, their own power, so on and so forth. And that was an eye opener for me, because I knew of a few members of what we call the C Club. That's all of us in the chief executive or chief whatever role of a business. Uh, but knowing that there's actually more of us doing it, and we're not talking to each other, obviously, but there's more of us doing it out there than what even we know in the C Club. So if we're doing this, and these are chief executives of top firms doing this stuff, getting ready for some sort of an economic downturn that we can see coming, then obviously we know something, and we are putting videos like this out, or putting other prepping videos out, because it's not that we're saying we're crazy. People like us are experts in our field. We do know what we're doing. And if we're saying this is not sustainable, it is going to collapse, it is not a question of if or when, as in this conversation that I had with my client yesterday, then it is something that should be seriously taken into consideration. And the reason I'm making this video is not just to let you know this conversation took place, but to implore, if you haven't started prepping, do so right now. And if you are prepping, if you're not at a comfortable level yet, you may want to double your efforts, because saying the phrase, if not a question of if, it's a question of when, that means it's imminent. It can happen at any time. All it takes is a small thing. And I know I just repeated that, but sometimes you have to say it a couple times for people to really get the message. This should really drive home to a lot of people, because this is serious. So I wanted to make this short video to let you know, hey, this conversation did take place, and it got me thinking. I actually called my fiance last night and let her know, hey, we need to go ahead and double our efforts here. Um, we need to go ahead and double our efforts and triple down on our preps and make sure that we have everything we need for an extended emergency, whether it's a year, 2 years, or longer. We need to make sure we have that sustainability. And I started calling friends and family last night that I know have that are in their beginning stages of prepping or in their intermediate stages of prepping, and told them, hey, this conversation did take place. So I have been letting people know, people close to me, but I'm also letting everybody else know now through this video. And I know, thank you to the 196 people that we have subscribing right now. I hope this gets out to many, many more people, so they can subscribe as well, but also so they know and they can start preparing for themselves if they haven't already. And if you have been prepping for a little bit or even for a while, go ahead and double down, because you are not wrong. You are not crazy. I don't care what anybody tells you. You are not wrong or crazy. You are doing the right thing. They're crazy for not doing it. So God bless you. God keep you, and prepare yourself, because it is coming.